So soon after uploading my video about Apple ProRAW and showing all some examples of it, it was recommended that I compare the non-ProRAW images to the RAW images out of the iPhone. And additionally, I wanted to see how they compared to an actual RAW image out of a DSLR camera. So right here we have the DNG from the iPhone. And one point of concern I was talking about in the other video was how the non-ProRAW images that came out of the iPhone 12 Pro Max would sharpen by itself in the camera app. And it was a type of post-processing that I thought over sharpened the images a bit too much and overall kind of messed up the image quality, at least to my taste. So let's take a look at that. So this is the Apple ProRAW image you're looking at right here, and then, oops. And this is the non-ProRAW image. So as you can see, this image is much more sharp than the other one, and I don't mean sharp in a good way. Like, I could tell that the deep fusion that Apple was using was over sharpening every image that was not taken in the Apple ProRAW format. So again, here's DNG, and here is the deep fusion that is that's used when Apple ProRAW is not taking the photo. And then here's a comparison to the another Apple ProRAW image. Deep fusion, Apple ProRAW. So I think the ProRAW looks much more natural because it lacks that deep fusion and there's no over sharpening happening in the image. I really don't understand why deep fusion basically over sharpens every image that you take out of the iPhone. It does not look good. And I thought I was going crazy because I didn't hear anyone else talking about this, but I mean, you can see it for yourself. So this next image is a RAW file out of my DSLR. It's a Canon SL2. I did have a T6i, but I recently sold it, so I'm using the SL2, my mother's, as a backup until I can get myself a full frame. So here's the quality on the SL2, Apple ProRAW, Canon SL2 DSLR. So obviously there are still some things going on with the Apple ProRAW. See, the image looks warmer, so maybe it's just the software, or yeah, it's probably just like the software or camera software telling it to, hey, this is the white balance, make it a little bit warmer. By the way, none of these images are edited at all, but probably just the software is saying, okay, make this a little bit warmer. DSLR cameras do the same thing. They're like, okay, make it warmer, make it cooler. And on my SL2, this is a raw image, so there really is no white balance like information being sent. It's just kind of saying, okay, take this image basically. So yeah, the image out of the DSLR may not always be like the perfect white balance, especially when you're taking it in RAW. And again, this is another deep fusion non-Apple ProRAW example. And as you can see, it does look very, very over sharpened. So let's see, we have another deep fusion and then Apple ProRAW. So you can see just all the things deep fusion is doing. But again, I was really, really turned off by deep fusion because of how much sharper it makes the image. It almost looks grainy. It looks really grainy to my taste. I feel like too much sharpening really just degrades the quality overall. And then with Apple ProRAW, I mean, you can still see a lot of fine detail, but like RAW is meant to allow you to bring up the values that you want to bring up, give you the control that you want. And I mean, with some practice, you're going to get a way better image overall. And then this next photo should be one that came right out of my DSLR camera. So let's take a look at that. And it may appear more grainy, but as you can see the detail in the eyes, you can see the threads a bit more clearly, and there's a lot more texture on the, overall there's just a lot more texture in the image. Let's examine that bokeh on the background. I think the bokeh looks a lot more natural, and that's just the larger camera sensor and the 24 megapixel. So let's see. This is another image. This is the Apple ProRAW, and then this is my DSLR. Apple ProRAW, DSLR. And the ProRAW actually did a bit better than this. I think I was just a bit overexposed when I took this shot on the DSLR, so it'll appear more grainy. But the Apple ProRAW did do a good job on that. And this next image is the deep fusion. As you can see, just super over sharpened. I mean, here, let's actually remove. That's really not a good DSLR image that I took. So there you have it. ProRAW, deep fusion. It's really, they really need to. I mean, I think you all understand now just how much I do not like that deep fusion over sharpening the heck out of all these images. Like, it ruins the photo. Let's see, right here we have a deep fusion. Then we have an Apple ProRAW. Deep fusion, ProRAW. And then right here is a DSLR shot. Again, I was overexposed in this shot, so, and plus the Canon SL2, I've realized compared to my T6i I've had before, is not as good as at dynamic range, regardless of the sensor being almost 6 years newer, which is a bit surprising, but it is a lower end DSLR. So again, on my part, that was not a good DSLR image. Right here we have a ProRAW. And right here we have my DSLR. And then it was also mentioned in the comment, they wanted to see if the portrait mode, or the edge detection was any different between Deep Fusion and ProRAW. Well, it turns out portrait mode does not shoot in ProRAW. Portrait mode is a HEIC exclusive photo, so you can't shoot portrait mode and have ProRAW at the same time. That seems like something that can be fixed with software, but then again, I mean, there's already a lot going on with portrait mode. It would probably be a while before they roll out a portrait mode that supports ProRAW. So let me delete the DSLR shot so we can get a comparison. So that's portrait mode, ProRAW. But I mean, those are two totally different formats. I basically forgot to take a non-portrait mode deep fusion photo to compare the two, but that's what you got there. Alrighty, so that's a comparison between the formats, and I hope I answered the question in the comment. And yeah, that's it for right now. But again, if you have any more suggestions, leave it in the comments, and I will do my best to make a video on it and explain things further. Thank you.